a lot of conversation going on, especially in NBA circles, on who has the most pressure going into these playoffs. I'm going to have you go first, but for me, I have two individuals that I believe are just clear cut under the most pressure.
Okay, so you went with players. I went with teams. I
You
did.
went with teams. Okay.
I had four teams that I wrote down that I thought came to mind quickly. And obviously, there are players on these teams that will get the brunt of the scrutiny if they do fall short. But I
Right.
have two teams from each conference that I wrote down, and that was in the East were the Bucks and the Celtics. The Bucks, because they obviously made the huge trade to go get Damian Lillard in the offseason. They break up the core of a championship team by trading Drew Holiday. And then not only that, midway through the season, you fire Adrian Griffin. You were second in the Eastern Conference, and you get rid of a first-year coach after firing your coach last offseason. And then you
Mhm.
hire Doc Rivers. Since they hired Doc Rivers, they're like 17 and 19 or something. They're under 500. They went from being 30 and 13, I believe, to start the season to not even reaching 50 wins. I mean, a team like that, after overhauling their roster and trading for Damian Lillard, I think you're facing a ton of scrutiny if you fall short. I will say the only thing is that you have to factor in is Giannis is not likely to play in the first couple of games against the Pacers. So you kind of have that to factor in, and they would have somewhat of an excuse if they fell short in that first round. Another team, though, I will mention is the Boston Celtics. We're talking about a team 64 and 18, absolutely ran away with the regular season. Not only that, but they've had a ton of chances in the past few years where they were so close. The 22 loss to the finals against the Warriors last season, Game 7 against the Heat in the Eastern Conference Finals. We've seen them get to the Eastern Conference Finals twice. Other times where they fell short, I think they have to pretty much win it all or at least get to the finals for the season not to be a failure. And then out west, I had two other teams, and those were the Clippers and the Phoenix Suns. I think both of those teams made pretty significant trades. Obviously, the Clippers going to get James Harden. Not to mention that a few years ago, they went and got Kawhi and Paul George, and they haven't made the finals with that core. And then now you also have Harden in the mix. And then the Suns traded for Durant last season. It didn't pan out. You decide to move on from Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton this offseason. You go get a guy like Bradley Beal. They're obviously one of the teams that went all in for a championship this season. For most of the year, they fell short. They ended up getting that sixth seed. Maybe they can make a run. But those four teams, I feel like if they don't win, they're going to face a ton of scrutiny.
And you kind of hit the nail right on the money here because you picked teams, I picked players, and you legit said two of the players off of the list, Jason Tatum and Kevin Durant.
Mhm.
By far, the most pressure to winning a championship this season. We're going to start with Tatum. Since 2019, and you mentioned a lot of this, he lost in the conference semis to the Bucks. 2020, he lost to the Heat in the conference finals. 2021, he got bounced in the first round by the Nets. 2022, he lost to Steph in the NBA finals. By far, a lot of us disagree. We had the entire topic on this. When we covered the NBA finals, I said he got exposed. You guys didn't see it that way. You guys said he didn't play well. To me, he didn't play well and got exposed. It was a double whammy. It's 2023. He lost to the Heat in the and he lost to the Heat in the conference finals. That's Jason Tatum in the Boston Celtics since 2019. I hear so much conversation that he is a superstar. A superstar has to put up better numbers in big game situations than when Jason Tatum has put up in the last 4 years. Period. These guys have to reach the NBA finals.
Mhm.
You might be facing a different Nuggets, and they have the best player in the world over there. So if you lose to them, I understand you lost to the just powerhouse. But to not reach the NBA finals, if they do not reach the NBA finals, if they do not reach the Boston Celtics, who were 14 games clear of everybody else in the Eastern Conference, if they do not reach the NBA Finals, they will not hear the end of it. Kevin Durant, he hasn't been out of the second round since he left Golden State. When he joined Golden State, previously he had a 3-1 lead on that very team. He proceeded to lose that 3-1 lead and then 3 months later joined that team. He won 2 NBA championships, 2 Finals MVP. We're not taking anything away from him. There's a conversation, and I'm tired of the narrative that it was by far clear cut. He was the best player on that Golden State team. I don't see it that way. I just don't. I'll go back and look at the numbers, look at the statistics, look at the NBA Finals numbers. Kevin Durant won MVP because he was on the best team to be ever assembled, ever, with the greatest shooting backcourt in NBA history, with the greatest shooter to ever walk the face of this earth. Of course, you're going to win MVP. Of course, you're not going to be double teamed. Of course, you're going to have it your way because you're Kevin fucking Durant and you're 7 foot tall. So Kevin Durant has he left Golden State to go to Brooklyn. Brooklyn then proceeded to lose, and now he jumped ship from Brooklyn, and now all of a sudden now he wants to be a Phoenix Sun. More power to you, brother. Now you have Devin Booker and you have Bradley Beal. Imagine if they get bounced the first round of these playoffs. All I'm gonna say is that people perceive Kevin a top 10 player ever. Kevin's not a top 10 player ever. He's in the 11, 15 range, wherever you want to put him. That's his spot. Giannis and Jokic, those guys. I mean, I said Jokic top 10, but Giannis, all those other guys, they're in that range. But if he loses the first round, all I'm gonna say is Kevin Durant is never going to hear the end of it. He thinks that now we talk about how he needs to win a title without Steph to get bounced in the first round again. All I'm gonna say is he's never going to hear the end of it.
So for the Celtics, do you think they need to at least get to the finals? What do you think KD needs to do to at least avoid some scrutiny? Is
He
it just
needs to at least get to the Western Conference Finals.
Okay.
At least. He needs to at least be in the Western Conference Finals. If you lose to Denver, there's no harm, no foul. You're playing against the Denver Nuggets, or overwhelmingly, I believe, is the best team in basketball
Well, the Nuggets would be
by a lot.
that would be in the second round.
Oh, well, they're going to lose then. They're going to lose then. They're not even going to make it there. I'm sorry. They're not going to make it there.
Does that change it at all?
I mean, Kevin, just don't lose in the first round.
Yeah.
Just don't lose in the first round, Kevin. I can't knock you if you lose to Jokic. I can't knock you for that. Don't lose in the first round. That's all I'm saying. Don't lose to the Timberwolves.